Вы знаете, что с водой можно разговаривать, она становится хорошей.
Did you know that you can talk to water and it becomes good? In other words, it becomes beneficial, right? The same applies to anything else. For example, take, let's say, something you find on a flea market, which I really like, in antiques, which I pick up and say, you're good. Bingo, that's it. This item is perfect for me. No matter where it was and who it belonged to. It is right for me now and charged with positive emotions. The same goes for anything else. This means that it's possible to quickly dream up a vase which you'd like to make. That's it. The main thing is to believe, think, and do it. How many things are thrown away as rubbish? It can either be a piece of wood with a knot in it, which nobody needs because it's splintered, or melted or cracked glass with bubbles, both of which are considered to be rejects. I find a kind of love in these simple and unique things, love and uniqueness. These things have a certain something that people are not yet aware of or do not understand. They don't realize how interesting and inexpressible they are, things that have already been created by nature. When he keeps on searching for something, when he's uninspired, when he's looking for something, looking and looking for something to be inspired by, and when inspiration finally comes, he goes full steam ahead. No way can I drag him home. At times he's still up at 2 o'clock in the morning, slaving away and saying, "Don't bother me while I'm inspired." I tell him, let's go. He replies, no, I'm drawing. Our studio is somewhere over there. The first thing that comes to mind and about which I would like to talk and dream is clay. In a few minutes, we should see it completely dissolved. I treat clay tenderly, with respect and love. I think that when you appreciate material in this way, these feelings are reciprocated by the material itself. My rhythm is slightly off.
По-настоящему живе.
It's fabulous, truly alive.
Когда-то мы с моей женой гуляли по антикварному слету.
My wife and I were wandering around an antique fair when I noticed tiny bells.
Маленькие такие бубенчики.
The bell itself has very deep roots and, according to legend, was actually created to frighten off evil spirits. And what is very important is that at that time it had many different forms: elongated, pear-shaped, round with clean cut or a cross cut. You can see completely different shapes in my lamps as well. They're not identical. And all of them are handmade and authentic. And all of them ring. Clay and Serhii Radko, a manifestation of a kind of deep Ukrainian feeling as the moment of the birth of an item made of clay. What surprises me most is the fact that very few graduates of the Academy of Arts are involved in pottery. It's amazing how they manage to discourage them so. These classic techniques are all the ancient elements: water, fire, man's creativity, so to speak, this movement on the potter's wheel. While modern electric ones do not have any of this, well, in general, everything is done via intermediaries. The logic lies in the fact that there is no sense in competing with technology. Now, not to forget, fire and water, earth and air. Clay is land and the air, as you can see. It's human movement, in other words, creativity. And the fifth element is you. There are great artists everywhere, starting with Ukraine and going all the way to Brazil. They're everywhere, but it's very important to see them. It's even more important to touch them. That is why when you touch material, when you get that tactile feeling, when it's important for you, you also get a charge from it. Some time ago I had a dream to touch the square by Malevich. This dream came true when I went to Moscow, to the Tretyakov gallery. There was a notice, do not touch. Even so I touched, looked and did it in such a way that no one could see. I planned this for 2 days before the visit to the gallery. And it was so important for me to touch the Malevich painting. And I have to say that I felt this kind of surge of energy. I also touched other paintings and sculptures in the same museum. Later still, I touched a Rodin and everything else other than the Mona Lisa, because it's behind glass. I would have loved to have touched it as well, but unfortunately. Hi, Dimchik. Hello. How are you? Fine. As you can see, we've already done our part. Since childhood, my understanding of glass was that it was a little dangerous. My mother was always telling me, be careful, you can cut yourself. But I did not love it less because of this.
том, что стекло — это песок.
Much later I learned that glass is actually made of sand. I was highly inspired by the island Murano in Italy because it's so beautiful. I saw an incredible amount of glass here. I've never seen such an amount of beautiful glass in my life. Starting with colored glass, transparent glass, and three-dimensional glass.
С такими формами, которыми, то есть, я не понимал, как можно
The glass had such forms, I did not realize it was possible to make a life-size butterfly of colored glass, and it looks like a real one. Roses made of glass. There were also peonies, but it was a mental paralysis, which led to a dead end, and which you did not understand was even possible. For me, glass is a somewhat cold but genuine material, which I want to touch, one that I'm not afraid to put my hand on, and which integrates perfectly into any interior.
I
would say that I'm not really interested in creating products on a massive scale, thousands of the same item, but individual items that are unique. In other words, a professional sculptor cannot make 3,000 copies of one piece, only 10. How many items have you made? 5. 5? I like it. Great. You can make the top, and I'll make the bottom. Oh, I have loved bronze for many years. We have been cooperating with Dmitry Grek, the sculptor, who is a close friend of mine, someone with whom I brought many objects to life, which were just drawings, simple designs on paper. Once we realized that even though it was not so easy, but still possible to make these objects in bronze, the process of learning and understanding how to cast the figures, what could and could not be done, the trials and mistakes began. In other words, it was interesting because Dima was already a professional sculptor, and I was an amateur painter. But our tandem was very interesting. Although the material should be seen, to my mind it is wonderful when you can see what something is made of, when you can see its texture. Each and every architect cherishes this material. They even hunt for exclusive pieces of the material. Architects search for a certain texture, volume and form for a specific interior. This is why so many substitutes have been created. It is impossible to compare a diamond with glass, even if they look similar. I think the designer should at least understand A, how it's done, and B, try it at least once. And if he gave it a try and understands how it is done, it is 100% success. I have a great desire to create, devise and draw, and collaborate with people who are professionals in their required field. Those who cast and polish every day, or those who love the process, who earn money and have success in this work, and do this on a professional level. Those are the people I want to work with. This should be an oak board, and we are now deciding the most important element of our exhibition, the tea garden tea table. And it's really cool when a person has found his or her niche and is doing work that he or she loves and gets pleasure from. I think that this is truly fantastic, and it's necessary to work with such people and achieve the best results. Without having made a single cup or any other item, it is very difficult to perceive it on paper. In other words, to give it life. If you have never seen a yacht or sailed on one, or have only seen one in pictures, it will be very difficult for you to draw it in a more unique fashion. What I'm saying is that if you are sculpting, doing your best, and only have a little practice in life, you're becoming more professional each time, have a greater value and feel for the material you subsequently draw.
He
draws a lot, an unbelievable amount of drawings. He constantly dreams up lots of unbelievable items, and it's a pity that it's impossible to wave a wand and bring them to life. So basically, I've been drawing on moleskin for the last 3 to 4 years. I've painted more than 20 moleskins, but I also continue to draw on bits of paper and envelopes in airplanes. I even draw on sick bags which can be found on airplanes and take them with me. But thank God I have an assistant now who files all my sketches into folders. And I have a mountain of folders containing many sketches. One of the important things about an idea is that it's implemented in a proficient manner, which is really important. You can dream up something great, but if this idea is implemented badly, the final product will also be bad. It is really cool when you are searching for a certain shape and at the same time distorting it as much as possible. It is also very important that when searching for ideas in our roots, we don't simply look at our Ukrainian roots, but also those of other Slavic cultures. Where do we start?
всі ми в українській тематиці працюємо, так чи інакше.
In one way or another, we all work on Ukrainian subject matter, whether we admit to this or not. What we are talking about here is not this general format, but finer points which are supposedly coincidental, but which are ultimately part of a jigsaw puzzle. We look at our roots. We value what we had until now and weave all of this into a single braid of that, which we are creating right now. And the most important thing is to create something very simple, but at the same time unique. For many years now, I have tried to create an algorithm for the creation of items. Pieces of furniture, light fixtures, doors and shapes of buildings, which will be very simple and at the same time very intricate. Do you see these lines? Polish it a little more to make it look perfect. Having said that, we don't need the perfection. We want the piece to look natural, to be alive. Nature is much cleverer and older than us. It is far more beautiful and perfect. Excellence itself. If we could find and express it, it would be a perfect symbiosis of the architect and the designer with a specialist, a translator, who would broadcast the majesty of nature and express it on paper, with a pencil, by allowing it to pass through his body, would create it as a single piece of art.
У керамики есть такое свойство, вот оно воздушное, и оно мгновенное.
Ceramics has a certain property. It is airy and instantaneous. You drop a piece of ceramics and it disappears. While if you drop a chair, nothing happens to it. But for product designers, one of the most complicated things is to create a chair. There is a very important process. There's a lot of time between sketching and a 3D visualization, used for a flow of information, browsing the internet, visiting exhibitions, looking through books and magazines. You can't even imagine how many different chairs there are. An unbelievable amount. And what is important, your chair has to be unique. It has to be different from all others. It has to have special features. It has to be comfortable. It has to be right from the geometric point of view. There are lots of different has-tos, and when you begin to draw, you are disappointed. Then you throw everything out of your head and begin to draw any object. Draw something that's not connected to a chair, give it two legs, a back, and you have a chair. The chair has miraculously been born. Can you see it's a bit curvy? Look here, the laser probably slid off a little. Just a little bit, but it's still not bad. It looks so alive. It looks like a swan. It looks like the head of a sickly dragon. I had such internal drives inside me. I wanted to create something very complex out of something very simple. That was a long time ago, and I dreamed up a table of 3-liter glass jars enclosed in a metal strip, then put a glass top, then stones, and finally adding some lighting. In short, as a child, I used to dream up all kinds of... Sometime later, I had the idea to produce a lamp made out of a jar with pickled cucumbers or tomatoes, with fruits or vegetables which are lit up inside with LED lamps.
И вот настолько мне понравилась эта
I loved this
идея,
idea so much that I thought, wow, this is really going to be something. Then I decided to put this idea into practice and put in a lamp. But of course there was no light. The light was practically unnoticeable because of all those cucumbers and tomatoes. The truth lies in the fact that everything is within reach. All you have to do is see it. An interesting project. I drew the concept of a jar and it was implemented. We completed the project, an interesting and unusual lamp.
Интересный и нестандартный светильник. Для меня есть понятие «живой интерьер».
I believe in the concept of a living interior, and many people do not realize that when entering any large room, building or museum, we feel certain positive emotions and a positive charge when we see air. In other words, when we feel it, when we realize that it's cozy and that we feel comfortable here, that in silence and serenity, in happiness or noise, but still we feel comfortable. And then I feel the design work of an architect or designer, or a symbiosis of an architect with a designer is great. And that is really cool. So I would like to announce that we're going to create a formula of a living interior and we'll bring it to life. Our designer should really work with manufacturers, from any small manufacturer to large production parts, factories, steamships, etc. To create one item, whatever it may be, a flashcard or a chair, you have to complete several stages for its fulfillment, starting with the design and ending with the material, technologies, painting, tinting, assembly, and packing. And the designer has to know about all of this. Thus, starting with a sketch, how he draws it, how it weighs, how it will be transported, how it will be assembled, how it will be delivered to the home, and how it will be installed, etc. This is a huge process, and if one link is missing, it could break the entire chain. This can be compared to a bicycle chain. One link falls out, and the bicycle will not go any further. When I'm driven, well, when I'm inspired, I'm constantly on the move. I would say that there's a kind of rhythmic movement all the time. Now, at present, I associate with a kind of gathering of energy. Here's a great story. When we came to China, checked into a good hotel, a designer hotel, which gladdened my heart. And when we went in, my arms and hands were constantly twitching, all the time. I loved everything. In other words, I lost. Time passed, and by the time we got to our room in the evening, I said that my arms hurt. It was as if I carried heavy luggage, as I felt what seemed like muscle cramps and couldn't feel my arms. Then I realized that all day long I'd been doing this, and I'd done it for so long that my arms began to hurt. Actually, architecture should be for everyone who loves, appreciates and understands it, even for those who do not understand it, but are eager to do so.
I would like to say that it should first and foremost be designated for living, for a comfortable life. And only after this should it be stunning.
Actually, I pay a lot of attention to my team. In other words, I believe that love towards the team is to love success.
And
the desire to win means, let's say, not only self-development and being inspired, but for the people working beside you to be inspired as well. If they are, then the projects we implement and create are better, more interesting and memorable. The creativity model is not subject to any dry strategies or any dry understanding that you have to come, draw 3 pictures, render 2 visualizations, draw 1 plan and 4 drafts. So this is your plan for today and you have to do that. But no, it is fragments of chaos in which happy and anxious moments are born. And the production process is a very creative one. It is energy and fluids which fly in the air, intersecting with one another, making a quality product. It's only because of this experience, knowledge and love of this activity that you're involved in, that you can give birth to a child whom you will cherish and love. This is how we regard our projects. Chaotic, stubborn and cheerful, can sometimes be stern, leader, inquisitive, strict, strong, brave, surprising, very strong and emotional, goal-orientated, knows what he wants and how to achieve it. King of architecture. We had a client who jokingly called it this. It was a secret nickname, King of Architecture. In life, he's that kind of boss. You know, it's like a bomb which tears up your entire life and leaves its footprints on it. That's for sure. If you choose the profession of an architect or designer, you have to love it. You have to adore and worship it, and you have to work at it every single day. And only by following this rule can you achieve success. In our country, everyone assumes that crash, bang, wallop, and you're already a designer. You've graduated from a 3-month-long course and already designing 100 square meter buildings, when in fact you should still be building hen houses. At the same time, you should continue to dream. Needless to say, about large-scale projects that are interesting, unusual, and most importantly, to inspire someone. Looking at everything that I've created so far, unfortunately, I've yet to produce that unique thing which I've dreamed of, and which I may never create. But I enjoy the process. I am pleased and inspired by what I do on a daily basis, and I'm filled with mass emotions, impressions, and take pleasure in what I have. It's so important to value what we have and to move forwards.
Ценить то, что мы имеем, и двигаться вперед. Итог, рисуйте, рисуйте.
In conclusion, I would say draw, draw, and draw some more. Then bring life to it over and over again.
И еще раз реализовывайте.